All right, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, Tucson and the county of Pima. Again, another Saturday morning. It is the Fresh Start Show with Dr. Hope and with Tom Cortez, our co host. We are so thankful to be here another Saturday, a beautiful Saturday. I'm glad the temperatures dropped a little bit. It was kind of like crazy. I got a little scared working on 100 degrees already before Easter. But we are so excited and happy that all of our listeners and tenor tune that's tuning in with us on this Saturday morning. So we are very excited for another episode, another show. We just want to do a quick announcement for our Fresh Start Empowerment Clinic. That's going to be at the Goodwill in 1940 East Silver Lake, Tucson, Arizona. And it is going to be Warrant Day. Yep, you
Squash 'em.
heard it. We're coming to squash them. We're going to squash them. So come on out if you have any pending warrants with our misdemeanor court. So please keep it locked and remember we're not doing superior courts. That's felony court. So we're dealing with misdemeanor. So any legal issues with misdemeanor courts, with city courts, and with our justice courts, we want you to come out. So if you got pending warrants, you got some fees, court fees and fines or tickets you need to take care of. That's what that's going to be for. So meet us at the Goodwill, 1940 East Silver Lake, Tucson, Arizona, 85713. We'll be there 9 a.m., starting at 9 a.m. We strongly advise that you get there early, get in the line, get registered. Also be able to take care of your misdemeanor issues. We're looking forward to helping you get those things resolved. We don't want you looking over your back trying to drive and get pulled over for something senseless and find out you have a warrant or unpaid ticket or a failure to appear. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to the county jail that day.
That's going to cost some money.
And it's going to cost you some money. And so we want you to take care of those legal issues. So misdemeanor legal issues will be taken care of on Warrant Day on May 17th at the Fresh Start Empowerment Clinic in partnership with the Goodwill. Want to thank Lance Meeks for being gracious to allow us to come and to be a partner, and we're looking forward to being a blessing to our city and to our community. So keep it locked on that. We're looking forward we have some special guests in here today. I want to make sure we're giving them plenty of time to talk about their work, their mission in our city. I'm going to have Tom Cortez to introduce them and just talk about, we know there's a strong alignment with poverty and homelessness in our city and in our community. And tents are popping up everywhere. And let me tell you, if you can stand to get some resources and stand and know that there's some opportunities that you can have access to help you out, we want you to be able to do that. So, all right, Tom, let's going on, man.
We got some stuff coming up. I mean, May 10th, we're going to do Market on the Move back at Zion City, Santa Cruz. 60 pounds of food for a $10 donation on May 10th. And we'll be there 7 in the morning until 9 or until we run out of food. And then we're going to have our event the following Saturday, May 17th. Come on out there, man, and be ready so you don't have to get ready, okay? So get your paperwork together, and I'm gonna let you guys in on something right now. April is the Fresh Start month. Now, Raza Legal is doing a background check for people completely free this month. So it's usually $15. So go to raza-legal.com and it will give you your background check on everything you have in Arizona and all of the stuff that you are able to do. Expunge, restore, seal, all of those things, and they'll come back with that. They also come back with the charge for them handling those cases, but get that free check so you know everything that you have right out of the gate. Now, I'm going to talk to some friends of ours from MDOT, who we've been friends with for a long time. Brandy came on the show a while back. We've been trying to get Thelma to come on the show, and Thelma sent Robert and Kaya to the show to explain what their project and mission is, also to talk about their individual hearts for doing this type of work, because we all know that a lot of those people that are out there homeless, They're homeless because they've got a felony conviction and can't find some place to live. These people from MDOT are finding everybody someplace to live. The hardest people to house, they are housing. So please pay attention, and I'm going to ask you guys, come on in, introduce yourselves, tell everybody what you do, and then we'll talk about that a little bit. Come on.
I'm Robert, City of Tucson, MDOT, Multiple Disciplinary Outreach Team. Been doing this for almost 8 years now for the city. Previously, I worked for NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, doing the same kind of outreach in the city. Wanted to finally start an outreach team, so me and Cliff Wade started that back in 2017. And so I've been doing outreach to the homeless community for almost 8 years now for the city. MDOT started up, and they asked me to come on and help out. So that's what I'm doing, is trying to help them keep this ball rolling.
And that's cool, because we used to go out with Robert way back when they were going out to Thousand Acre, they were going out to Aviation, out there, Swan and Valencia, going out there, talking to people and finding what their needs were, meeting them where they are, and fulfilling those needs where they are, which is something that is very cool, because, you know, most people that are homeless, they're not going to be able to make it to an appointment or something like that. We're going to be back here next week, and we're going to, and like clockwork, they do. And like I always say on this show, if you keep showing up, people will start believing in you. And I believe the homeless are starting to believe in this project that the City of Tucson is putting on. Kaya, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, so my name's Kaya Newberry, and I work for the City of Tucson, hired under the MDOT grant, which is Multidisciplinary Outreach Team. I do the outreach piece and a little bit of the navigation. Previously, I worked at the Goodwill Youth Center, Metro Youth, and I fell in love with the concept of outreach because when I was on the streets, I didn't know it existed. And so bringing the resources to people was near and dear to my heart, and I just felt like that is what the community needs for that population.
Wow. Did it exist, or you just didn't know where to look?
It absolutely existed. I just didn't know about it. You know?
Right. Right. And what's the reason for that? Why? How do we get the word out there?
I think outreach is a huge part of that. You know, you've got to find the most desolate communities and inform them. And, you know, generally, even people who aren't ready, they might come across somebody else who wasn't out there and be able to share that word, right? So it's kind of all about leaving those breadcrumbs and having consistency. You know, the more that you go out there and you kind of inform people, it's also kind of almost like applying pressure, and you're replanting a seed, and, you know, you plant it enough times that maybe someday they'll actually have the willingness to come in or take you up on what you're offering.
Amen. That's great. And you keep saying they, but it's us, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I mean, I think everyone in this room for sure has lived experience, you know, so we've all been in a place, whether it was incarceration or addiction, homelessness, all of those things, and they're all factors, you know, right? And growing up in poverty, for sure.
Wow. And where's the trauma come from, Dr. Holt?
Oh my God, comes from a lot of our issues that we have. Our trauma comes from a lot of unresolved childhood traumas. If we don't heal from our traumas, we bleed on people that didn't cut us. That's a fact. And a lot of our communities that we see, so I did a white paper on this last year, that communities that are hard up, that have a lot of issues, come from a lot of unresolved traumas. So, you know, you really can't fix poverty until you really deal with trauma. You can't fix violence, community violence, domestic violence, abandonment among kids in foster care. And then we still forget about how powerful grief plays a major part in the space of mental health and trauma as well. And it's very important that we have those conversations and look at, you know, not just putting Band-Aids in certain areas of the community, but looking at root causes. And I really believe, and you hear me preach this all the time, is that we really can't really bring healing to our communities. We don't do a lot of root causes of unresolved traumas in our communities. And trauma is everywhere. You know, it's not those people's problem. It's not the ghetto problem. It's not the hood problem.
That's right.
Trauma is in rural areas. It's in farm areas. It's in astute areas. It's everywhere. You know, 80% of individuals who live in America have at least one traumatic experience. So
Wow.
that's more than half of the American population that have experienced some kind of level of trauma. And I believe as we are moving forward, we're being able to have these brave conversations about mental health, normalizing it. I think we need to normalize depression like we do type 2 diabetes, where we can just really have these conversations. But yeah, so you asked.
Yeah,
question,
absolutely.
so I'm
And
gonna
that's
give you a doctor's
exactly what we
answer.
wanted. And you guys are the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
And you're meeting them where they are, but you're meeting them in the state that they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much mental illness do you see? How much addiction do you see? How much of that do you run into? Because you're out there in it every day.
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of the people that we come across at least have some kind of mental health disorder or an addiction. It is very rare to come across somebody that is in the situation they're in out on the streets that doesn't have some kind of trauma. I mean, it's almost unheard of. Even if it's just a basic situation where they got evicted. That's traumatic. People
Yeah.
don't like to acknowledge it a lot of times, but just being evicted from your home, that's your stable place. That's my solidarity. Like, that's what I have. You lose that, that's traumatic. And
Yeah.
people don't want to acknowledge
and
that
that's
sometimes.
an acute trauma. That's a one-time instance.
Yeah.
But as soon as you leave that instance, you're homeless.
Yeah.
And homeless is a whole nother trauma.
Oh yeah, huge
And
trauma.
it's multiplied daily.
Yeah.
So it compounds,
And the
then it
stigma
gets
that comes with
complex.
it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. I mean, the wonderful story, Zion, and I know he won't mind me telling that when he was homeless, he would ride the bus. He would sleep on the bus because at night he would have to stay up all night to stay safe.
Yep, absolutely.
And then he would ride the bus in order to be able to sleep. And I mean, everybody's in an outrage about the free bus system and all of the
I
terrible
wish we
things.
could make it permanent. It blows my mind that anybody would not want that permanent. Like, we're already paying for it. What difference does it make? Just pay for it. Let's have it to where people have something safe.
Right. And I mean, just hearing that story for me
Yeah.
was like, okay, we should pay for it.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot of vulnerable people that they're on the buses.
Yeah, and that's the only way they can
That's the only
survive.
way to be safe.
Yeah.
And in our line of work too, when you do come across somebody who is homeless, who has mental health and addiction, or one or the other, right? When you get them to a level where they feel confident enough to engage and you're giving them appointments, right? Having a free bus system is incredible, and it's actually really important. It's pretty much a vital resource, right? Because if they feel like, hey, you've given me an address, you've described it to me, I'm familiar with that area, I trust you, I'm gonna make this appointment
Is it
on
still
my
free?
own. It
Yeah,
is
okay, it
currently.
is.
Yeah.
So, like if they don't have a bike or a car or whatever, right? They're able to go and use the bus system to get there, right?
It's
and
actually
that,
under review right now.
and it gives them the opportunity to like develop one new skill, right? It's an opportunity for them to grow and get into a routine and a habit, and that's how you start to like reintegrate somebody, right? Is like slow baby steps like that. You give them appointment and you get them trusting you enough, and you make the situation important enough to them that they're going to show up, right?
And we give them an alternative to
Yeah.
going to jail
Yeah,
and going
absolutely.
to prison. Because we talk about all the time on the show, jail and prison right now are some of the most dangerous places you can be.
Absolutely.
And because there's people
Man.
dying, falling like flies at the jail and at the prison. I mean, 5 deaths in the last week in the state prison.
Wow.
3 murders here in Tucson, 2 and all level 4 units are locked down. And a lot of these people that you are seeing and you are going to see are going to end up in the jail.
Yeah, and that's scary. They're not the aggressors, they're victims. There's no reason to put somebody in a situation that's going to make their life worse. It makes no sense.
And don't you guys go out with doctors or nurses or something
Yeah,
like that?
nurse
right?
practitioners from El
Nurse-
Rio, yeah.
Yes, from
Yeah,
El Rio.
Celia,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. That's so cool because I remember we did aviation
Yeah.
that one time, and there was a young lady down there that I gave a jacket to that was freezing, but they had dealt with her previously a number of times, and she had issues, and they were there to help her, and it was moving to me that these people that are nurses and doctors and would go out there and do this.
Yeah.
But then I think of this guy, and he's been doing it for years, meeting us where we were in the prison system, in our trauma, to help us move forward in our life. That's to you, bro. And I love you for it, bro. And I mean, we're constantly talking that we want to get into the prison system to do these trauma symposiums and trauma workshops. And if we could start working with that population and the homeless population.
Yeah, stopping the pipeline would be amazing.
Right. If we could cut it off,
Yeah.
you know, so we don't have to end up in a cage.
Yeah.
And in a box and compound and complex, more trauma. And then we get out and what do you rebuild? Now, what do you got to rebuild? Because there's not even an individual there to begin with. Because
Yeah.
there's so much stuff that has come on them. And when we were talking earlier, we live at hypervigilance so much
Constant.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
that when you leave that state, you almost crave getting back into it.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know how to function outside of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know what that's called, doctor, but it's real.
It's hypervigilance, and to the point to where, you know, when you have lived in the abnormal for so long, you get accustomed to
It
abnormality.
becomes your normal. Yeah.
And we also see people, we usually see people with addictions too. Once they get clean, they don't know how to go back to normalcy. You know, they're like, no, I'm used to living in crisis. You
Yeah.
know, so we self-sabotage. We do all these things to get back into these situations. We also have formerly incarcerated people go back to recidivism. You know, like I want to be institutionalized because that's a world that I'm more accustomed to instead of having autonomy and being held accountable and all those things. Yes, most definitely. I totally agree that our nation is becoming a very hyper-vigilant community. And that just doesn't impact your mental and your emotional, and impact your physical as well. So
Absolutely.
individuals who can't turn off that fight or flight and cortisol, all of that cortisol turns into inflammation. It makes you more sicker. You have autoimmune disease. You start seeing pre-diabetes and things of that nature. So so this stuff is really, really important when it comes to this. And that's why I created a new framework, shifting from trauma-informed care to trauma-resilient wellness.
Come on. Yeah.
Because where we are today, we need more than just informed, where we just keep talking what the problem is. I think at this point, learning ACEs and all those different things, we kind of understand the neuroscience of what trauma does, but now what? And the now what is shifting from surviving to thriving, you know, having those tools and strategies on how to bring resilience in a person's life is where we need to be. And I think that that's why I created that framework, and that's why I'm flying all over the place right now, trying to push this. And what a beautiful thing to, you know, we got Kansas Penitentiary said we want trauma resilient wellness for the whole penitentiary system in Kansas.
Wow.
You know, so that's some amazing stuff where I can bring my 8-point blueprint of becoming resilient from an incarceration space. But it's not even just a limit to incarceration. I could put that same framework into education, into K through 12 schools, or put it into a city agency and say, hey, you know, what could this look like for a citywide type of blueprint to bring healing to our communities. But yeah, that's where we need to be.
Absolutely. So what do you guys need from us? You have an event coming up, I believe it's next Friday, which is Hope in the Park, right? And you're going to have resources out there for the homeless and for the community. Explain that to us.
We'll have all sorts of resources, from housing to judge will be out there to
Showers?
Shower will be there.
Showers. Very nice.
We're not going to have the haircutting there, but we are going to have vouchers to give to people to where they can go get a haircut.
Very cool.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it this time, but they're still willing to give us the ability to get them.
Okay, that's
But,
great.
yeah, all sorts of resources, food and raffles and all sorts of stuff.
And where's it at?
It's over at Freedom Park,
Okay, where's that? That's 29th
29th and
between
Speedway.
Swan and...
or 29th in Swan to Craycroft area. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I guess all the resources are going to be set up on the basketball court?
Yep.
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 Okay,
Right
and
up
then they're
front.
going to have the showers over by the bathrooms?
Yep.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
So, hey, if you're homeless, if you need a shower, if you need some food, come on out there. That's going to be next Friday. Please come out there because we're going to have resources out there. Fresh Start is going to have a table out there. And if anybody wants to come to the May 17th event, come on out there and I can give you information about what we're doing on the 17th. And maybe we can get some stuff working for you before that so you're ready when you walk in that day.
We're also going to have the ID project out there, so they're going to be doing
Very
free
cool.
IDs, and supposedly they're going to be able to print them on site.
Wow, that's
So instead of
very
having to
cool.
wait your 2 weeks to get it in the mail, they're supposed to be able to get it there at the site.
And what's the time frame for that? 9 to 2 or
9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Yeah.
9 a.m. to 2 p.m. At Freedom Park next Friday. I don't know what the date of that is.
25th?
The 26th,
25th
April
or 26th?
26th, it's a Friday.
Right.
Um,
So get on out there. There's going to be resources for you out there. There's going to be showers for you out there. There's going to be food for you out there. And there's going to be a whole lot of community out there that actually cares about your future. So we would like you to come out there, and I'd really like to help you. If we can get your background expunged, if we can get your rights restored, if we can get you voting rights, we're going to help you do that, because that's what we're all about. Because if our voice, we talk about it all the time. Tom got his voting rights back, so now he's crazy
Yes,
about
yes,
voting,
yes,
and
yes.
he's
Heck yeah.
crazy about getting more people to vote.
That's right.
Because I know the block of people, over 200,000 plus felony convicted individuals in the state of Arizona. That block of voting, we could change the system. So you need to get your rights restored in order to get out there and vote, because that's what we need to do. We need to change the system. We need to change the sentencing code, which is based solely on punishment. And punishment is trauma.
That's exactly right.
And it changes your future forever,
Yeah.
because you do not come back from a trauma the same way. You are different.
Wouldn't it be dope if we had a fresh start day for the whole state, that every county did on one day
Yeah.
rights and restoration
Yeah.
in every county, all
Yeah.
15 counties?
Wouldn't that be great?
That will put a dent in the disenfranchised number who can't vote. If
Yeah.
we all did it like
Yeah.
every county in this state say fresh start day, all the systems are going to do rights and restoration on that one day, right?
Yeah.
Because we got over 100,000 people that can't
Yeah,
vote, right?
that's right.
So to really
Because
put
of
a
felony.
dent in that stuff, we
Yeah.
have to get really comprehensive and robust in our approach. As we are coming to our close, our time goes by fast. What are some takeaways? What you guys are doing? What are some upcoming stuff you want us to know outside of the Hope in the Park? Just want to give you a last 60 seconds before we close out.
I would love us to be able to have a fresh start day, because I even know people who are coworkers and things like that that still haven't been able to take care of that. So it's more than just like the reentry population who are coming straight out of the prisons and things like that. It's also people who have been out for a while, who have kind of reintegrated, and it is like our clientele, right? So the people who are homeless, and I think that would be great. That would make a huge dent. Our
Yeah.
program is really cool. It's different, I mean, we've got a lot of action behind it, and I think that's what works, right? So we go out there, we assess the situation, and then we connect people to actual housing vouchers, right? And we're able to house everyone who, from battered backgrounds to RSOs and everything in between, right? And the reason that works is because we have a team of case managers from other agencies, right, who go out there with us, who coordinate things, and we stay consistent.
Yeah, we work with Old Public Community Services, CBI, Community Bridges. We work with Primavera, work with El Rio. So yeah, there's quite a few different agencies that are working together for this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're going to be with you guys on April 25th, so we're looking forward to partnering and looking at what we can do in the future, and we're excited for what you're doing for our community to help us to become a resilient community. I think that addressing housing is huge in this piece. All right. Well, thank you for coming and being with us. Tom, any takeaways before we close out?
You know what's really cool about this, bro?
Yeah.
I found out that the city of Tucson is felony friendly.
Yeah.
And they will hire people
Yes, they will.
with felony background, bro.
Yes, they will.
How cool is that? That the
Yeah.
city that we are in is a felony friendly hiring city.
Yeah, don't
the
check the
county's
box,
hiring
yep.
people too.
Right. Don't
Yep.
check the box, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's been
bro?
that way for quite a while
Yeah,
too.
it has.
It's-
Yeah, because
You
when
know,
I got
the
hired
box.
on, it was that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
in the
Wow.
box.
And it's pretty cool, because then you can get people who have lived experience who are
Yep.
able to apply that to
Right.
people, because I think that that's more digestible when they can recognize, hey, you're not too different from me. All right,
Yeah.
I'll trust you. I'm going to give it a chance. If you're, rolling up in a city truck and, you've been here, all right.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, we'll take it.
credibility.
We close it out from there. Our last 20 seconds, we wanted to just thank all of our listeners for listening in with us on 106 The Groove. Fresh Start Show at 7:30. Be with us on next Saturday, and we're looking forward to having you be with us, and we look forward to bringing you back after your event so we can talk about some of the great things that took place. All right, this is your host, Dr. Holt. Let's have a great Saturday.